I put myself first. I put my skills, my talents, my needs and my desires in the right circumstances before my families so that I can be the best version of myself for them.
There is a new American dream. One that doesn't involve working till you're 65 before you start enjoying life. If you're someone looking for ways to regain control over your time and check off that bucket list now, you're in the right place. We share tips from experts on investing, personal finance, and mindset so that you can finally have the freedom to work less and live more. This is the Freedom Investing Podcast with your host, Chris Toribio.
What's going on, everyone? This is Chris Toribio with the Freedom Investing Podcast, and I'm so happy you're here to join us for another amazing episode. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome to the show. Please make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with our latest episodes. Moving on to today's guest, we have Jerremy Alexander Newsome. Jerremy is a healer of souls, a husband, father of two, Ironman finisher, 2 times Calendar Club finisher, 3 times Everesting Challenge Finisher. He bear crawled a 5K, does 10,000 push-ups in a day, has done 14,200 jump ropes in a day, and has created a global stock market education brand that trades over $120 billion of capital. Jerremy, welcome to the show. Before we dive into it, give us a quick 2-minute rundown of who you are, your background, and where you are in your journey to achieving time freedom.
Yeah, totally. So I'll just clarify on 2 things. I don't do 10,000 push-ups every day. That was just once.
Okay.
That happened one time. And we do 120 million, not billion.
Gotcha.
So,
Awesome.
Yeah. Billion. One day, the billion's coming for sure. But man, I'm on the other side of the time freedom paradigm. And my current lifestyle right now is pouring into individuals. I hit my number a few years ago, and now my number is you, right? It's the listener. So my goal is to really help individuals understand how to become financially free and independent. I started investing at the age of 6. I bought Apple because of the movie Forrest Gump and turned a little bit of money into a lot of money, and then knew that this is exactly what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. Went to University of Florida, go Gators, for a finance degree. They didn't teach me anything about the stock market, so at all, like nothing. And I went to every seminar, webinar, read every book, took every class I possibly could, and was a voracious animal for my early 20s and experienced colossal failure numerous times, faced addictions, faced huge challenges, and every obstacle that humans and the universe could throw at me, and finally was able to break through in my late 20s to be where I'm at today.
Fantastic. And so, I want to dive deeper into that a little bit because, since then, after reading your bio, you've achieved a ton of tremendous physical acclamations over these last few years. And I really want to dive into the habits that you've established since then, right? So, you had this college experience, and now you've gotten yourself in a position where you can physically achieve all of these things. Where did that start? And I guess, how did you go about developing those habits to achieve those type of goals?
The very first one was the Everesting Challenge, and huge shout out to my 2 boys, Colin O'Brady and Jesse Isler, for getting me hooked on it and for allowing me to be a part of that community pretty aggressively and actively. That is, first time I ever heard about it, Chris, was from a podcast like this called Art of Manliness. I'm sure you've probably heard of it. And Colin O'Brady was talked about this event where you run up a mountain as many times as you possibly can within 36 hours. And essentially, the goal is to create enough elevation gain where it's the equivalent of Everest. I massively misunderstood how hard that was. I ended up signing up with my business partner, who is a little bit older than I am, and we created a schedule. So talk about routines. For the very first time in my life, I had this insane, crazy calendar just filled with things to do, activities, how to eat, how to wake up, how to work out. We were spending 12 hours every other day in the gym on the Stairmaster.
Wow.
Just training for this stupid ass event. So it was this process of now you have to make it work. And granted, I had the money freedom to do it, But even though at that time I was unaware of how valuable sitting down every 2-3 months and just saying, what do I want to do 9 months from now? And then go ahead and putting it on the calendar, how valuable that would be for my life and for my routines. And so that's something that I stick to very frequently. I schedule time out for myself. I think most fathers probably listening to this, and most of your audience probably is fathers and dads and husbands. We are last on the list. We're the last to get fed. We're the last on the hierarchy, right? It probably goes children, wife, God, bills, employees, friends, sports team, sports commitment, you.
Absolutely.
And yeah, that's not good, by the way. So when you mentioned healer of souls, like what I try to do now is I work with a lot of men to help them change that pyramid and put them on top. And when you do that, like when you're the very, very first person, you start battling with a lot of limiting beliefs about being selfish, about what that means, about being the number one priority in your life, how to focus a lot of attention on yourself, your healing, your growth, all kinds of things starts to scare you. And that emotional fortitude is really what is extremely, extremely important for massive, massive growth.
Fantastic. And so once you were able to get yourself in a position where you were able to shift your mindset, I mean, what type of things changed for you? I mean, what did that look like pre and post that mindset shift that you encountered?
Pre was if I was scared of it, I didn't do it. And post was if I'm scared of it, I do it intentionally because that means that I'm scared of it. Meaning if I haven't had something or I do not currently have it, it's because I'm scared. So if you're here listening and you do not have $1 million liquid in the bank, it's because you're scared of having a liquid $1 million in the bank for whatever reason. You can have all of your fun limiting beliefs, but the truth is if you want something and you do not have it, it's because you're afraid of it. So once I realized, oh, that's the truth for me, then I started going and doing everything that I was scared of, everything that I haven't done. Because one day in my mid-20s, that quote really finally got into my brain. The one that Jim Rohn says, if you want something you never had, you have to do something you've never done. And so that's why I just started anything that pops into my world, man, anything. Hey, go run a marathon. All right, when? Whatever it started to become, when people said something, I listened very intently. And when they said something that I had never done, I would say yes to it.
I love it. I mean, there's a word here that seems to keep coming up, and that word is intention. You live your life with intention. When you were training for this Everesting Challenge, you guys were at the gym 12 hours a day, getting on these stairs, and it's like you had the intention to ensure that you were well prepared to do this challenge, and you had the full intention of actually carrying through with it. And that's the biggest difference too. My wife and I, we talk about this all the time about, you have to get comfortable feeling uncomfortable, and you have to commit to yourself whenever there's something that either scares you or it's good for your growth, but you're just not comfortable doing it. You just got to commit yourself to doing it. And so in your case, you established those habits by having that level of intention, and you were able to carry it through all the way to the very end. And here you are today.
Yeah, thanks, man. It is. It's a level with little clarity comes little results. And the intention takes the book, right? Think and Grow Rich. What do most people never do? Think. Now, we think when we're going to sleep or we think when we're in the car, but we also don't intentionally sit down with nothing to do, no technology, no device, no interruptions, and just think with a notepad and pen. Almost no one ever does that. It's a game changer. An example. For anyone listening, take this quiz on your own. When is the last time you went to a library on a weekday for 12 hours with no cell phone, just a pen and a notebook? Most people are going to say never.
Right.
Dog, that's like a quarterly thing for me. And a lot of people listening might go, well, that's because you're rich, dude. It's easy for you to do that. I was doing that before, man. I was doing that before the money came. You have to have the millionaire mindset, and then the millionaire bank account will show up. You have to do the things that very, very rich people do, and they value time significantly. We're going to talk about that as we progress throughout the show, but valuing your time, knowing what it's worth, and really putting a numerical value to it is so, so valuable
It's
important.
so funny you mentioned that because, my wife and I, we do our annual goals and we break them down into quarterly goals. And one of those things each quarter is I'd like to step out, go to the library, or it doesn't necessarily have to be the library. I need to take a day for myself to just
Sure.
plan out the day. And it has made wonders in terms of the level of clarity that you
Huge.
achieve to
Yeah.
carry that momentum throughout the rest of the quarter. That's huge.
Totally agree, man. That's great that you and your wife do that. That's awesome.
So, Jeremy, onto this level of intention, right? Like, how do you carry that on into your day to day life? What does your schedule look like on a day to day basis? How do you manage your time? How do you go about prioritizing different things in your life? Talk to us a little bit about how you implement all of these things on a day to day basis.
The first step is knowing what you want to do and start putting some of those things on the calendar. Now, most people, when they're filling out their calendar, when they're filling out their time, they start with, not everyone, but a lot of people start with work. And then they go into family time. And then they go into maybe the gym. Then they go into vacations, right? Where they're taking time off. And then they start filling in some of the smaller blanks. If people fill out a calendar, I worked with a gentleman 2 days ago named Trevor. And Trevor was like, dude, I feel like I'm drifting. I feel like I get distracted all the time. One of my biggest barriers to success, I wrote this down. He said, one of my biggest barriers to success is lack of scheduling. I was like, oh, cool. Let's just sit down and do it. Here's the shift. Figure out what you want to do and start peppering in pieces of that now, immediately, right this second. Start with, you have $100 billion in the bank. What do you do every day? What do you do? Do you go to the homeless shelter? Do you go to church a lot? Do you pray? Do you meditate? Do you work out feverishly? Do you spend time with your wife and kids watching movies on the couch? Do you read some books? Like, what is it that you do if you have all the money in the world? Who are you giving to? What zoo do you donate to? Right? Where do you travel? And start peppering in small pieces of that throughout your week. That's step number one. Number two, schedule time for yourself. Again, especially for men, and most of your listeners are probably men, but also my women. We are always putting family before ourselves, but I don't. I put myself first. I put my skills, my talents, my needs and my desires in the right circumstances before my families so that I can be the best version of myself for them. Here's a great example. For those listeners who are watching this or listening right now, me and my boy Chris are recording this on Easter Sunday. I live in Nashville, Tennessee. I've been prepping for this since 9:30 a.m. my time. So from 9:30 to 11, I told the whole family I'm booked, I'm locked out. But that's it. That hour and a half, that's all I'm going to work. I'm going to do today. I'm going to put my phone down. When I leave this, my man, I'm going to go with my family and we're going to do all family stuff. No phone. I'm all in. But I definitely had to prep. I wanted to be me. I wanted to be in the best mindset possible for this. That's extremely important, man. So yeah,
Absolutely.
Put in reoccurring time for yourself. Put in the things that you want to do. For me, my schedule, usually 4 days a week for 2 hours, I'm in the stock market. That's how I've made my living. That's my profession. I love doing it. I'm fully addicted in the best way possible and kind of the worst ways possible. I love the stock market and I'm in it 2 hours, 4 days a week, approximately. I read or listen to an Audible every single day, every single week, podcasts. I go on walks. I do a lot of phone calls. I have a lot of webinars. I have 32 businesses. So throughout the week, I also schedule times to meet with business owners, colleagues, friends, the people who oversee everything, the managers. I'm, pouring into myself. Obviously, we do the whole shopping thing, groceries. So I just sit down and schedule it. And I put in blocks of time where I don't have anything to be scheduled. So if something pops up, I can go do it. It's about getting really, really clear, getting extremely intentional, and noticing, everyone who's listening, there were times, and there are times, where I do not have a work-life balance. I don't like to use the word balance. I like to use the word equilibrium. There are times, my man, where I'm all in. I will tell my wife, hey, baby girl, this week, I'm not going to be there. Really good example. April 23rd through May 1st. So we haven't gotten there yet, right? We're April 9th, 10th, yeah, 9th.
Yeah.
So April 23rd through the May the 1st, 15 to 18 hours a day. I'm traveling. I'm on an entirely different continent. I am grinding it out hard, doing presentations, doing seminars, doing classes, doing webinars, teaching, coaching. I'm not even going to be here. I'm going to be going bananas for 8 days. I'm not going to be with the family. That's an equilibrium. I'm going all in on work. The week after that, I'll be in Croatia with, guessed it, the family. Family and friends. And so it's like this, it's a time where I really go in because I love that. It excites me. And there's times where I go all the way back out as well.
I love that. Yeah, you're right. It's a good point because a lot of people think about it in terms of the day-to-day, but sometimes just depending on the nature of the business, depending on the nature of the job that you're in, it just requires you to dedicate yourself full time to that level of period of time before that project is complete, right? And then afterwards, you can kind of make up for it by setting aside undivided attention to the other things that are important to you in life. That's a really crucial thing there.
Yeah, man, because it's hard, dude. It's hard to go back and forth all the time. When people are like, oh, I gotta have a balance. It's like, well, do you? I mean, can you? If you are with your kids, are you really with them anyway? Or are you thinking about work because you cut off 30 minutes to be with your boy or your daughter and, and at their soccer game, but you're still on your phone because like you're trying to balance everything. It's like, well, why don't you just work your absolute nose off for 2 days. And then that day that they have their soccer tournament, you're not on your phone. You're not on your webinars. You're not on your emails. You're fully there. You're fully in.
That's huge. So I want to dive into that a little bit more, right? Because, there may be our listeners here who are working a 9-to-5 job still, or trying to build this business on the side, may have these other responsibilities that they're juggling. When it comes to blocking out your time, I mean, how far in advance do you do this?
About 8 to 12 months usually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 8 to 12 months. So I know what I'm doing ahead of time very, very frequently. And for those who have a job, beautiful. If you're working the 9 to 5, figure out how to optimize your time as much as humanly possible. So when you're at work, I mean, a beautiful example for everyone listening, a fantastic example. How hard are you actually working when you're at work? Like, be honest, right? Could you accomplish everything that you have? Not everyone's going to be able to say yes to this, but could you accomplish everything that you have to do from 8 to 1 in the morning? No lunch break, no breakfast, no smoke break, no water break, nothing. You get there from 8 to 1 and your fingers bleed because you're typing so fast every day. Could you go to your boss and say, hey, listen, I don't need to be here the whole time. Here's the work that I need to finish for sure. And I'm going to finish it. I'm going to be at my desk at 8 a.m. Monday through Friday until 1. I will not leave. I will be on my chair. You can come by anytime you want. And I'm going to be grinding. You won't see me on my phone. You won't see me on Facebook. You won't see me in the bathroom. I won't pee. I won't eat. But you can work as hard as you can for 5 hours and then leave. 5 times 6 days a week even is 30 hours.
Right.
You can give your boss, I'll come in on Saturdays, dude.
Right.
How are you optimizing your time? I actually pulled that off, Chris. That's why I know it works. I used to work at Nationwide Insurance. And I told my boss, what if I just accomplished everything that you needed me to at this time of the day? Would it matter if I was or was not here? And I gave their example. I'm actually using companies' resources anyway if I'm here. Internet, water, electricity. I'm going to save you guys time, still get everything that I need to get done every single day. Why do I need to be here for the next 4 hours? And she thought about it. It was like, I don't know. So I made her the deal. I'll come in on Saturdays. I'll work 8 to 1. She said, fine. Boom. That's what I did. And so I was able to trade because at the time I lived in Florida. I was able to trade 1 to 4 market close. So those 3 hours, I would leave my office at 1, go to a tropical smoothie, which was right down the road. 5 minutes from my office. And I would sit my 2 laptops and I would trade market close for 3 hours every day.
Wow. So in consolidating your workday from an 8-hour workday, 5 days a week to working until 1 o'clock, which is, you give yourself a couple hours there every single day to free up to do your trading. that literally was the difference of whether or not you had the time to do it or not in your day, right? So you essentially just grinded, got all the work you needed to get done, time blocked, and then you were able to dedicate yourself fully to what it is that will help grow your business and help set you on that next step forward.
Dude, so many people, if you got a job, just ask. Most people don't ask, Chris, because they're afraid of rejection. They're afraid of judgment. They're afraid of being wrong. They're afraid of looking stupid. They're afraid of no's. Please go and ask. Maybe you can work 4 10s and you get your Thursdays off, right? Maybe you can work 3 12s. I don't know. If you're working a government job, it's going to be harder. I get that. I can respect that. Their hours are really weird. And I have a lot of clients who work in government jobs and their salaries are capped and they have to do certain things at certain times. But for the majority of you, you can probably work from home. For a lot of you could probably make the case. I mean, it happened in COVID. Why not try it again?
Absolutely.
What can you do with your company just to optimize your time, to optimize your day? And if you cannot, you are booked in, locked in, you're telling me there's nothing you can do from 9 to 5. Okay, don't take your lunch break. Leave home at 4. Right? Take a bunch of protein bars and, plastic bag lunch, and don't leave. Don't leave for an hour lunch. Don't take breaks, right? Shove them in there and just go after it for 6, 7, 8 hours a day and then leave a little bit early. There's ways to do it. That's the point I'm trying to get across, Chris. There are always ways to figure things out. The word impossible spells I'm possible. Most people never take a moment to pause, a moment to breathe, a moment to realize that most of the things that we're told are lies. Most of the things that we're told are lies. Money grows on trees, literally. My wife spent $45 in pine cones for Christmas. Money grows on trees, man. Like, it's available. It is there. Life is not short. Life is long. The things that we're taught about money, about time, about our belief, about our value, about our worth, we have to push back on this as a society and as men and as women.
I absolutely love that. And on to that note about making it work, we were in a similar situation last year. So my W-2 and my profession is in anesthesia, actually. So I'm a nurse anesthetist by profession, and I was working a full-time 40-hour-a-week job. The problem is that the previous job that I held, the schedule was completely, it changed, right? So some days I would work 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Some days I'd work 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Some days I'd work 2 or 12 p.m. to 10 p.m. So there was no consistency with my schedule. So when it came to doing things outside of work, including my businesses and things of like that sort, what ended up happening was I was also having inconsistencies in the productivity of my business because the W-2 was not consistent. So what I ultimately ended up doing was saying, look, I can't grow with this type of schedule. So I left, became an independent contracted anesthesia provider instead. And now it allowed me to dictate my schedule. And to your point, at this point now, I'm working 3 days a week, 12-hour shifts, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And I can tell you, just having that level of control over the schedule that I have has made the ability to grow in my business tenfold. And that just came from having consistency in your schedule alone. So if people are able to position themselves where they're able to have a little bit more control over their time with their work, regardless of how that looks like, it can make a tremendous difference in the productivity of all other aspects of your life, whether that be your fitness goals, whether that be your professional goals, whatever that may be. It's huge.
Dude, I love you, man. That's so spot on. It is so spot on. Just a gem, because number one, your job was not, most jobs are not important. Let's be fair. Okay. Like you're working for someone, you're doing a thing, and like, if you didn't show up, no one's going to die. But my boy, Chris, like if he doesn't do his job right, lives are on the line. So he had a very, very crucial, like he had to be on it. And that's a massive, massive realization for a lot of us out there, because when we understand how much time is in a week, it doesn't matter how much you're working, right? 168 hours in a week. If you work 50 hours, which most people do not, but let's just say you work 50, and you sleep 8 hours a night, which again, you probably don't, but let's say you do. That's 56. You're now looking at, that's 106 hours. So you have 112 hours remaining in your week after a full-time job plus 10 hours, and you're sleeping 8 hours a night. 112 hours remaining. What are you doing with those 112 hours?
Right.
That's if you work 50 hours a week, right? So, I mean, okay, fine. Commute, time with kids, but all right, you're at 100 hours. That's so much time, man. That is mind blowing. What are people are wasting it. That's the truth. People are wasting their time. We are allowing ourselves where you have multiple days that go by in a row where you don't do anything massively productive. We can make this happen, team. If you want to break out, if you want to break free, it's extremely, extremely possible. And Chris and I would love to help you.
I love that. And, I want to go back to your point about your time blocking and how you manage your schedule. I mean, you said you know what you're doing 8 to 12 months out, right? So,
Yeah.
So what does that look like for you? What does your goal? Let's say we're in December at the end of the year. You're looking forward to your goals for the following year. How do you go about structuring to where you know what you're doing 8 to 12 months away? Like, what does that look like for you? And how do you break it down to your day-to-day basis?
Sure. So first and foremost, my wife and I get together, like you mentioned, quarterly. Me and my wife will get together. We have Money Mondays. So every Monday we talk about money, investing, all those things. But I sit down and go, what do we really want to do? What are some dreams? What are something exciting? What's something really cool? Great example. 2 years ago in October, we were in Yellowstone for like a week, right before they closed it off, Yellowstone National Park.
Yeah.
And we had such a great time. I was like, I would love to do this for like 2 months. So we planned in October of 2020, we planned June and July of this year, we're going to do an RV. So I got an RV and we're going to do an RV cruise across the country for 2 months, June and July, all RVing. It's going to be amazing. And even during those times, I'm still doing another Everesting event, which would be my number 4th one. And I'm doing an Ironman with James Iron Cowboy Lawrence, the greatest triathlete on planet Earth in Utah in July. So I'll be doing Everesting and then an Ironman, same month. Even though I'm still traveling with the family, I'm still going to be training. I'm still going to be practicing. I'm still going to be riding my bike. I'm still going to be doing all those things. You just got to start getting out down to what it is that you want. Because, man, the question that you asked, I block out my days like in 10-minute increments because you can get things done in 10 minutes. So I start with, what are the big, amazing, crazy things that I want to do? Everything takes money. Everything takes time. Get those off the table. Get those excuses off the table. Everything takes money. Everything takes time. Figure out what you want to do. Figure out some big dreams. Do you want to go on a cruise ship with your family and your friends around the islands of Hawaii? Okay, well, it's free to dream. It doesn't cost anything other than a little bit of time. Sit down, figure out how much it's going to cost, figure out how many people you want to go, and put on the calendar for December of 2026. All right, cool. You got 3 years. You got to start saving up 15 grand. Let's get after it. Right? So you put it out in the ethos. You put it on the calendar. You write it down. You make it real. You turn your etheric mind, your beliefs, and put it on paper, because once on paper, it becomes real. Once you write it, you're proving to the universe you're no longer afraid of judgment. You're getting it out there. And now that it's physical, it'll start coming into your life a lot faster. And once you start doing that, you know exactly what you want to do. You start really, really getting after it. But then, yeah, man, I do. I block out my days in 10-minute increments. Not like a weirdo. Not like I'm actually probably one of the least stressed people you'll ever meet. But I know that I can work out in 10 minutes. I know that I can read a chapter or half a chapter of a book in 10 minutes. I know that I can spend time with my wife, right, for 10 minutes and just talk. I know I can eat in 10 minutes. Like, there's so many things you can do in 10 minutes that a lot of people take an hour to do. Right. I can shower, get ready, and get clothes on in 10 minutes. It's like, do things in 10 minutes. Block it down and just get really, really intentional with your time. Like, if you do push-ups nonstop for 10 minutes, you're going to get a good workout in.
Right, exactly. The point in there is intention, right? Like, as long as you are fully focused on the job that you're doing, then you're going to be able to fully dedicate all of your energy, all of your attention on it. The productivity there just skyrockets. That's huge.
Yes. Yeah. Ed Milet says that he has 3 days in a day. This was a new concept to me. But his brain, he just says from 6 a.m. to noon is a day in his mind.
Holy cow.
And I was like, oh, that's such a cool concept. I haven't tried that yet, but I might. Like, where I'm like, this is a whole day, 6 a.m. to 6. So I'm going to do all the things I need to do in a day on this day. And then I haven't gotten there yet, but Ed Milet's also one of the wealthier people in the world, one of the best motivational speakers on planet Earth. One of my mentors. I looked up to him in a big way. An incredible, incredible man. I haven't gotten to that level of amazingness, I don't think, but it is changing your beliefs. For everyone listening, write down a quick math formula. If you have a pen and paper, it's a very, very easy math formula. There's no way you can get it wrong. Write down 1 + 1. Equal sign, right? 1 + 1. It can equal 2. Absolutely. It can also equal 11.
Ooh, look at that.
And if you like binary code, it can also equal 10. So when we're talking about the actual reality of what takes place, let things be the way you want it to be. I have changed my calendars in my house that Wednesday is spelled Winsday. Wednesday.
I love it.
I win on Wednesdays, man, for sure. And it's stupid as it is. Wednesdays are my most profitable day in the market by a lot. And that's what kind of made that happen eventually in my mind. But I'm the most profitable trading on Wednesdays. I make the most amount of money on Wednesdays generally in the stock market. I just made the change. Who cares, right? Who cares? Shakespeare created 16,000 words. How come we can't create a few, right?
I love it. And for the general public, I mean, Wednesday's just hump day, right? Like, oh, we got over the hump finally. One day closer to Friday, you know, like, I love how that kind of shifts your mindset, shifts the way that you can really make your schedule and make every single day of the week as productive as possible. And the thing is too, that's really nice is, you know, you talk about these interview questions, right? You interview a lot of these people, and what is one of the most common questions? Like, where do you see yourself in 5 years, right? And not many people actually plan out more than like a year in advance. And for you to say, look, I want to take this trip in 2026, 3 years from now, you know, at least putting it down and having that level of intention to do it puts you that much more probable that that's actually going to take place. And that's commendable, man. I love that.
Thanks, man. Yeah, you nailed it. You're exactly right.
So one thing I want to bring up here, and obviously you've gotten a great deal of success through an asset class that we truthfully haven't really talked about nearly as much as we probably should have on this podcast, and that's the stock market, right? So, you know, we have a lot of guests here. We're almost on episode 50 of this podcast, and we've had a ton of guests here that have really achieved a great level of success with real estate and leverage that asset class to be able to get them to achieve the time freedom and lifestyle flexibility that they've always been looking for. But in your case, you've been able to do this with the stock market. So I want to dive into that a little bit. Talk to us a little bit of how you got into the stock market and what your experience has been up until this point.
The way I got in, man, 1995, the movie Forrest Gump comes out. And about 80% of the way through the movie, Forrest Gump starts recounting his life. And he says, Lieutenant Dan invested into some kind of fruit company and said, we don't have to worry about money no more. I said, good, one less thing. Man, I grew up so poor, and I never heard anyone not having to worry about money ever again. That was a paradigm shift for me. So I begged my dad, asked him, what's investing? What's the fruit company? He tells me about Apple computers. Please, let's buy some shares. Please, let's do what Forrest Gump just did. Oh, son, we're too poor. We can't do that. Money doesn't grow on trees. What do you want me to do? Like, I begged him. And eventually he said, listen, if you bring me some money, I'll match it dollar for dollar. And we'll buy some shares of Apple. And I did. I went out and picked blackberries, sold them door to door for $1 a bag. Wow. Shoeless, shirtless, wearing jean shorts, 6, 7 years old. Man, dude, if you had a pulse, you bought some berries, right?
Holy cow.
Made $1,500. $1,500 selling blackberries. And my dad, true to his word, matched his money, and we bought $3,000 worth of Apple in 1994, 1995 timeframe.
Oh boy!
And yeah, right now they're worth about $36 million. Now I sold them $35.999 million ago. It was a costly mistake, but the truth remains is, well, I sold them in 2000, the top of the tech bubble. We moved from Georgia to Florida. Obviously we had no clue what was going on, but you know, I turned $3,000 into $12,000, and my dad gave me $12,000 as a 12-year-old. That was it. I was hooked for life. I'm like, this is what I want to do. But it was after that, Chris, it was after that scene in the movie. If you remember, when Forrest Gump says we don't have to worry about money no more, he goes out, retires Bubba's mom from the kitchen, builds a church, school, and hospital. He was pouring into his community. He's giving money away. He's helping, and it made everyone so happy.
Yes.
That's what linked into my soul. I was like, I want to do that. I want to be able to help people truly, truly feel and see wealth and how great wealth is. And so, yeah, man, that's how I got started. And then the big catapult, the huge catalyst for me was when I worked at Nationwide Insurance, making phone calls, right? Just like everyone else, doing the call center thing forever. I built up some money in my 401k over the course of a year and some change. And I learned how to do what's called a self-directed 401k. A lot of you real estate people are probably very familiar with those. Self-directed IRA, self-directed 401ks. And I bought ticker symbol AG, First Majestic Silver. Bought 1,000 shares at $9. By the way, it was 100% of my 401k. It was $9,000.
Oh my God.
I took every single dime, put it into First Majestic Silver at $9, sold it at $12. Made $3,000 in a week and some change. Problem with that, Chris, is that was more than I made at work in a month at the time.
Wow.
Everything changed. Everything at that moment in my whole life, because now no one had ever told me that you can make more money trading than you can make at work. And no one ever told me that I could do it. So I broke both of those mind-bending parallels all instantaneously at the exact same time. And that was right at my 20th, around my 20th birthday. So it was an extremely, extremely fascinating turn of events. And that's how it all started for me, man.
Holy cow. And so, you invested 100% your 401k at that age. You made a great return in a very quick amount of time, but how did you go about selecting that in the first place? I mean, like, how did you go about just choosing this? And then at this point, getting yourself to manage this great amount of capital moving forward from there?
Chris, you're hilarious. He thinks I actually did something. Chris thinks I did something, guys. I had heard that silver was going up on the news. I go to Google at the time. I typed in which silver stock to buy. And First Majestic Silver was SEO optimized. It was the very first thing that pops up. That was the research. Done. 8 seconds. Like, this is it. That's all I did. Yeah, that's it. And I saw that it was at $9. I said, oh, wow, I have $9,000. Bang, bang, bang.
Oh, my God.
Ironically enough, that's the calculation that I tell people, though, when I get them into the stock market. When I ask them, I give them a quiz. I go, can you trade the stock market? Let's find out. And the quiz I give everyone is, if you buy 1,000 shares of anything, doesn't matter what it is, you buy 1,000 shares of something at $9 and you sell it at $12, how much money do you make?
Just made $3 per share there.
$3 per share times 1,000 shares is $3,000. That's more than most people's mortgage. All right. The average American pays less than $3,000 a month in mortgage. Once they see that trade took me a month and I did it with $9,000, things start shifting in their mind, just like it shifted for me, because that is the math of the stock market. I have an IQ of 88, maybe 89. I'm really good at second grade math. That's all I do in the stock market. I'm not smart. I'm not special. I just did a lot of second grade math. I mean, over and over and over and over and over again. And I started doing it where once I outpaced all of my expenses and started doing it in a spell where, well, if I make this much and spend this much and invest the difference, it probably is going to work out okay. It's pretty much what I did. And I ended up taking my account, turning it into like $30,000. And here's where the story gets fun, man. I mean, I have a podcast with one of my real estate mentors and best friends and business partners. She's worth about 300 and some change million. Her name is Brittany Turner. She's also 35 years old.
Wow.
And we have a podcast called Broke to Woke. We came out with the word woke before it had to, whatever. It rhymed with broke. So we were like, yeah.
You did it first. You heard it here first.
Correct. It's actually kind of true. So anyway, it rhymed with broke. So we just put it in there and boom, that was it. So anyway, her and I have this podcast where we discuss our life story, because the thing is, man, when I turned 9,030, I was a golden child. I was going to finance school, University of Florida, right? Everyone's like, oh, Jeremy's the greatest kid in the world. 20 years old. I convinced my dad to give me his retirement money. I make him some money, right? When I say give it to me, he just gives me his login for Charles Schwab. You're right. Username, password, boom. I log in, take the trade for him in his account. I turned his $100,000 into 130 in like 2 weeks. He's up 100. He's up 30%. He starts telling all of his doctor friends because he's a pharmaceutical salesman at the time. And by 20 and a half, I'm managing over $400,000.
Wow.
I turned that $400,000 over the course of a few months into 1.2 million.
Holy cow.
And then I lose it all.
Oh, geez. Oh, no.
Yeah, I lose it. I lose every dime. Right around my 21st birthday. So I got, it's a long story, but my 20s sucked ass, right? From 20 to 27 was pretty terrible in all kinds of ways. And there's not enough time on planet Earth for me to go through how much pain and energy and suffering that went through in those 7 years, but also what I learned from it. Also realizing that everything was it was happening for me, not to me. It was a direction. It was an obvious, like, hey, here's the light at the end of the tunnel, but you have to go through all this pain first. Are you willing to do it? And I had a really good friend the other day ask me, he's like, if you go back to yourself at 21, like, what do you tell yourself? And the answer is keep going. It's going to be worth it. You're going to get the life of your dreams. You're going to get the woman of your dreams, the family of your dreams, the house, the car, the everything. Just keep going, dude. Don't stop. It's going to suck. And it did. It did. But it was all worth it.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you just got to keep swimming because you never know. The people who gain the most success in any type of business, any type of industry that they're in, are the people who continuously show up. So as long as, regardless of what is getting thrown at you, you just continue to show up. You continue to find out ways to move forward. That's where the success happens. It's not this overnight success. It's not, people don't understand what really goes on behind closed doors and how much effort, how much time is involved, how much self-doubt that people have to overcome, how much mental barriers and things that they have to overcome. You know, there's so many different things people have to work through before they reach that a level of success that's really what you have to do is just show up. You know, there's this poster and it shows a mountain, right? And it shows this is what success looks like, right? And then it shows a body of water that encompasses that whole mountain. You know what I'm talking about, Jeremy? Yep. And it's like the tip of the iceberg is what most people see, but they don't see all the stuff underneath the surface. And that's really what it comes down to.
It is, man. Don't keep swimming, keep running, keep moving forward. Listen to motivational videos. That's all I did. 8-9 years, typed in motivational video and just put on repeat. And I mean, granted, I was in my early 20s. That's the time to make mistakes. If anyone's listening and you're in your 20s, fail miserably, fail huge, fail brilliantly, please. Fail as hard as you possibly can in your 20s because you'll survive. It'll be okay. And you'll learn so many cool lessons and so many insights will come into you. And if you're in your 50s, fail. If you've never failed before, please go out and fail. Try something big because no one in life ever regrets what they did. They always regret what they didn't do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. All right, folks. So we're coming towards the end of today's show. But before we finish, it is time for the Freedom 5. These are 5 questions that we ask every guest on our show, starting with the most important question. What is your why? What is the underlying motivation behind everything it is that you do?
My mission in life is to enrich lives with mentally liberating education.
Love that. Powerful. Second question we have here. What book has had the largest influence on your life?
It's a book by a lady named Jen Sincero. I'm sure everyone here has heard about it, but it's called You Are a Badass at Making Money. It was a huge shift for me. She's such a fantastic writer. And, you know, like just mind expanding in so many ways. Maybe think big, maybe dream big, maybe be big, maybe become big. I give huge credit to her all the time. Love my girl, Jen. Great book.
Love it. You Are a Badass. Go check that out. What is the most impactful thing, whether it's a piece of technology, a habit, or a person that has helped in freeing up your time?
This is going to shake your whole world, man. That's a great question. The first thing that popped in my head when you said it was TSA PreCheck.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. Now here's why. It's $100. No one buys it. Right. I walk in on every airport, but it makes me feel rich. It does. Because I'm passing everyone in line and there's hundreds of people there and there's like 6 people in my line. And it helps me understand the value of money. It helps me understand the value of time. It helps me understand how few people value their time. It's $100 for 5 years. And how long will you spend in line at airports? I mean, if you travel once a year, not that long. But if you travel once a week, like I do, you're talking hundreds of hours that you're going to save for $100. It's the most obvious purchase of all time. And that was a mindset shift for me, man, because it started making me feel worth it. And it started making me stand out and feel a little bit different because I was in a different line of people and it was a lesser of a line. So it goes back to the whole Jesus thing with two roads, right? Go down the one less traveled.
And for our listeners here who still have this barrier to purchasing it for whatever reason, I mean, you could even open up a credit card, right? Like we have a Chase Sapphire Reserve credit card, and like that covers it, right? So like you're getting points, and on top of that, the credit card covers it. Like there's no real reason why people shouldn't have it unless they have a really big reason why. I don't know. I can't think of one.
Yeah, no, me either.
All right, fourth question we have here. What is your number one piece of advice you would give to anyone else looking to achieve more control over their time?
Number one piece of advice, carve out a day, take off from work. I don't care what you have to do during the week, Monday through Friday, where you did what I talked about earlier. It doesn't have to be at the library. Go to a park, pen and paper, take control of your time. You're giving your time away to other people. You have a problem saying no. You say yes all the time. In order for you to take a day for yourself, 12 hours from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., you're going to have to say no to a lot. Your wife, your kids, bosses, whoever. Go take you time. Go get time to think. Go fill up a journal with your ideas, your dreams, your beliefs, your goals. Write with a pen and paper. If you do that, your life will change forever.
Love that. And the fifth and final question we have here, Jerremy, is what is the best way for our listeners to get in contact with you?
Man, best way. I'm Googleable. Just make sure you spell it with 2 R's. So my dad's name was Jerry. So it stands for Jerry and me, Jeremy. That's how that happened.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. I love that.
Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Mom. So Jerremy Newsome, Twitter, social media, Instagram. You can email me, jerremynewsome@gmail.com. My stock trading website is reallifetrading.com. It's the highest customer service rating score of any stock market education on planet Earth. We have a 4.937. So hit us up, hit me up. I'm available. I have a big team that will help me connect with you, reach out to me. Let me know how I can pour into you because that's what I do. This is all I do, right? My why is to help people liberate mentally from their current beliefs to become financially free and independent.
Absolutely love it, man. Well, Jerremy, tons of really great information today. I really love how you shared how you develop the habits that you carry forth on a day-to-day basis so that way you can ensure that you achieve your goals. I love how you shared how you manage your time blocking, your goal setting strategies to ensure that you're able to make sure that you live your life every day with some sort of intention towards something. And I love how you compared the stock market compared to real estate and how you're able to see the benefits of that to help other people grow their portfolios. I just want to thank you so much for being a fantastic guest on our show. I really look forward to remaining in touch. Now, if you like this show and want to learn more about how we can help you free up your time through passive real estate investments, check out www.freedominvesting.com. Make sure to subscribe to our monthly newsletter and schedule an introductory call with our team. We also have a free 7-day course on what passive real estate investing is and how to get started so that you can start your journey towards earning back more time in your life. To all of our amazing listeners here on the Freedom Investing Podcast, my name is Chris Rubio. Till next time.